This is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
These are very different for everyone. There is a lot of exhaustion.
COVID-19 cases continue to spike in Indiana. We are taking a closer look at how this surge is impacting local healthcare workers.
A possible breakthrough with one of the COVID-19 vaccine candidates. We're learning how well it's protecting people in the study from the coronavirus and what this means for the vaccine's development.
Child care providers and parents say a state contractor is putting them in a bind. I'm Kara Kenny. Will tell you what's being done to address their concerns.
It's really disappointing because they always say, well, keep it local and you'll have more control, and you really don't.
People are frustrated with manufacturing warehouses mounting in Whitestown, while homeowners say they feel ignored. Thanks for watching WRTV News at 6 on this Monday. I'm Amanda STARRANTINO.
And I'm Mark Mullins. First tonight, the COVID-19 surge in Indiana continues. The State Department of Health confirms 4,213 additional cases of the coronavirus. More than 214,500 people in Indiana have been diagnosed with COVID-19 since the pandemic began. The Indiana Department of Health also reports 34 additional deaths. In total, 4,418 Hoosiers have died with the coronavirus. Data from the state shows that 30.4% of Indiana's ICU beds are available. That's about the same as yesterday.
Doctors and healthcare workers on the front lines of fighting COVID-19 are not invincible. They too are struggling during this time to avoid burnout and exhaustion while continuing on as COVID-19 heroes. WRTV's Troy Washington speaks with a doctor who explains the struggle.
Things are very different for everyone. There is a lot of exhaustion. It has been really, really challenging.
For 9 months now, Dr. Lindy Hayes has been locked into treating and saving patients diagnosed with the coronavirus.
With full body gear and full body suit and gloves and multiple jackets on and all of that. And it can get exhausting. You can sweat in there and you can get dehydrated because of that. And then when you're in patient care areas for 12 and 14 hours at a time, it can be difficult to get out, get a break, go get something to eat, get something to drink.
She says it's become about remembering to do the little things to keep going, like eating, staying hydrated, and creating more time for self-care.
Sometimes your vacation is just making sure that you get enough rest.
Dr. Hayes used to look forward to getting away to enjoy a trip, but even though she isn't traveling for leisure right now, she hasn't forgotten the importance of taking breaks.
Sometimes it is overwhelming, so sometimes we have to turn it off.
In order to stay fresh and at her best.
As fatigue increases, what happens is that you increase the likelihood of medical errors.
She says, make no mistake, fighting COVID-19 for long hours and days has made her more intentional about getting rest and disconnecting on downtime.
It is really requiring a lot of specific and targeted intentional acts in order to be able to combat the fatigue and the level of depression and sadness that we experience when we see so much sickness and so much death on a regular basis.
She says she took an oath to help others, and it matters especially during times like these. Working for you, Troy Washington, WRTV.
Dr. Lindy Hayes says that most frontline workers have the added stress of worrying about when they are at home and being around their families after being on the front lines.
As COVID-19 cases continue to increase across the state, more than 4,000 new cases reported today. We're working to find out what's being done to help stop the spread as college students leave campus and return home for Thanksgiving. Some students on Butler's campus are calling on the university to offer exit COVID-19 testing. They've even started a petition saying other colleges in the area are offering that, and one of them is Indiana University. Leaders there say departure testing at the end of the semester is not required, but it is recommended for all students, faculty, and staff. Students at Butler say they want to see that on their campus.
I would have loved to have it from the school because it's just so much less work, and I know that the tests, they'll contact me and it'll all be easy compared to trying to get Walgreens or somewhere else.
I have family members who work in the hospital, and I think it would be nice to know that you're definitely negative before you go home.
A spokesperson for Butler said they are aware of the student petition and the school is increasing student testing through the end of the semester.
It could be a turning point in the effort to slow and stop the spread of the coronavirus. Today, Pfizer and data suggests its vaccine candidate may be 90% effective at preventing COVID-19. The analysis from independent data monitors looked at 94 infections recorded so far in a study that has enrolled nearly 44,000 people. According to the Associated Press, Pfizer did not provide any more details about those cases and warned the initial protection rate might change by the time the study ends. Today's announcement also does not mean a vaccine is imminent, but it's a step forward. Pfizer has said it plans to seek U.S. review later this month, which is the next step in a potential approval process. But as of right now, the U.S. has not yet approved any COVID-19 vaccine. And we've requested and received the state's COVID-19 vaccine plan last month, which could go into place once a vaccine is ready. The Indiana Department of Health submitted this proposal to the CDC for review, so when a vaccine is ready, who will get it first? The Department of Health says their vaccine allocation committee prioritized the healthcare workforce and those people who are at greater risk of death from the virus. For phase 1 of COVID-19 vaccine distribution among the general population, long-term care residents would be prioritized. So would people with underlying medical conditions, those who are 65 years of age and older, people at risk for severe COVID-19 illness, those at risk of acquiring or transmitting the virus, and people with limited access to vaccination services. You can read the entire draft of Indiana's vaccine plan on WRTV.com.
Parents and child care providers are raising concerns about a state contractor not answering the phone and not processing vouchers. They reached out to WRTV Investigates for help. Our Kara Kenny has been digging to find out what is the holdup and how this is impacting parents and children.
65% of the families here at Tots R Us are on CCDF. Those are federal vouchers that make it possible for low-income families to afford childcare. As these 4-year-olds learn their letters and numbers, the owner of Tots R Us on the east side is worried about her daycare's numbers.
I may have to close my doors. I hope I do not, because families need good daycare providers.
Providers and parents say the state's CCDF eligibility contractor, Maximus, has been slow to recertify and process CCDF vouchers. That leaves parents with few options: take off work or pay full price.
And it's like a domino effect. If they can't pay out of pocket, they can't work. If they can't work, they can't feed their kids.
Taquita Johnson says she's lost 15 families off her CCDF roster, which is costing her about $5,000 a month.
I still don't require my parents to pay out of pocket, because if they could pay out of pocket, they wouldn't be on the CCDF program.
Angels of Hope Child Care Ministry says they're seeing the same issues.
Actually, I had a family of 4 today that she could not bring her children to the center because she can't afford to pay us out of pocket, and they don't have a voucher, so we can't guarantee child care for them if we can't receive payment.
Another issue with Maximus, parents and providers unable to get through on the phone and via online chat. One parent sent me this picture of her nearly 3-hour hold time on the phone today.
So it's just very frustrating.
Christiana BLAIR is a nurse and mother of 2 small kids and says it took her 2 weeks of countless calls and emails to get Maximus to process her CCDF vouchers. Her children's father had to take off work in the meantime to watch the kids.
So there's that issue with, are they going to be renewed? Am I going to be able to take my child to school? I have to go to work. I don't have the option to work from home, which is like just an added layer of, challenge to that.
The Virginia-based company Maximus has been the state's eligibility contractor since October 2019. The contract says they can be paid up to $5.1 million a year, depending on the number of Indiana families they serve. Nearly 35,000 Indiana children rely on CCDF vouchers for childcare. Maximus told us the combination of the global pandemic and multiple open enrollments to address the childcare needs of families post-COVID has resulted in longer than normal wait times. Maximus immediately implemented several improvements to process applications more quickly. We have increased staffing, established new procedures and processes, and introduced digital enhancements designed to help individuals access services in a timely manner. The Indiana Family and Social Services Administration, or FSSA, says if families are still eligible, FSSA has a process in place to cover back pay. They are also meeting weekly with Maximus to address hold times and productivity concerns. FSSA told us our team is working to monitor Maximus as it addresses these issues and to ensure that families and providers have their needs met in a timely manner. That oversight will continue. Parents and providers are hoping improvements happen quickly so that families can get to work.
I don't know if Maximus staff need more training, more staff, so wherever the help is needed, we should get help fast, everybody.
Working for you, Kara Kenny, WRTV.
FSSA is asking providers with concerns to reach out to their Office of Early Childhood and Out-of-School Learning. That number is 317-232-7112, or you can email carrie.gray@fssa.in.gov.
People who live in the Boone County community of Whitestown are upset because warehouses are being built right up along people's backyards. WRTV's Stephanie Wade talked to frustrated homeowners and what you can do if you are in the market of buying a home in a booming area.
The Whitestown Plan Commission is expected to discuss this issue tonight, whether to rezone about 365 acres of land from agricultural to light industry to allow for warehouses to be built here.
My very first initial thoughts were I wasn't happy with it. Whitestown currently already has a ton of warehouses that are currently sitting empty as it is.
It's sad because it was a urban getaway that is not an urban getaway anymore. You turn left on one street and now you're in an industrial area and it's right next to your houses.
Both Joe Davidson and Chad Sneed live near the proposed warehouse project by GDI Companies, located on the south side of County Road 300 South and the west side of County Road 575 East.
Well, the biggest concern for me is just, like the aesthetics of it, right? I mean, I'm going to be looking out my bedroom window right into a shipping dock for, semis that are probably going to be there all hours of the night, headlights shining right towards my house at any given time.
For me, it's that they're connecting all these warehouses to 300, which is not designed or built for semi-traffic. It's already narrow when you try to pass a school bus.
With all the growth Whitestown is seeing right now, these neighbors say they're losing the agricultural small town feel.
All we're getting now are subdivisions and warehouses. That's all Whitestown is anymore.
Prompting some neighbors to even consider moving.
I mean, you go to realtor.com right now. There's two houses on 300 that just went up for sale, I think within the last 2 days, right next to each other, right across from where they're wanting to do this. Honestly, we're going to be looking at moving a lot sooner now because of this, which is a shame because we really like the area. But I don't want warehouses in my backyard.
The final decision is up to the town council to approve this project or not. But Eric Pittner with Carpenter Realtors says there's some things you can do to protect yourself before buying a home.
You can reach out to the county or the town to see if it's currently zoned for either agricultural or industrial residential. But more importantly, to ask if there a variance could be put in place.
Pittner says it's important to see if your city or county has a master plan in place for how they plan on developing land near you and whether that's subject to change.
Ultimately, though, it could just be a shot in the dark long-term wise for these growing and booming communities as they try and manage the growth.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
The Planning Commission is meeting at 6:30 tonight. If you have questions and need a trusted real estate advisor, we will provide the Carpenters Realtors contact info online at WRTV.com.
Agritourism businesses in Indiana have been hit hard by COVID-19. Next, how one local business is shifting its strategy to survive and rebound from the pandemic.
Colder air is still many states away, but it will arrive. We'll talk about what comes first, though, when we come back.
Welcome back. We are 8 months into the pandemic, and our Rebound Indiana initiative is looking at how consumer habits have shifted, and it's forcing our local small businesses to pivot to meet those needs. Today with Indiana Grown, our Lauren Casey is looking at how small agritourism destinations are adapting in order to survive.
Came up with this idea of a portable wine flight.
Sarah Schade takes us through a pandemic-friendly tasting at Mallow Run Winery in Bargersville.
It's the Sangiovese with a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon.
The family-owned winery off Whiteland Road prides itself on giving guests an experience.
And then this last one is Traminette, which is the Indiana signature grape.
And they always provide complimentary tastings.
The customer can check off which 4 We prepare the flight for them. And then the only rule is that it has to be enjoyed while seated at a table, but they can stay in here or go out on our deck.
It's fall at this Johnson County gym, but springtime looked much different.
So we fell under the category of a bar or nightclub because we don't have an established restaurant here.
Despite the acres of space, Mallow Run couldn't operate as it has for 15 years.
And just like any other small business, it was really scary.
So the family and workers put their heads together.
Okay, if this is the reality right now, how are we going to get through?
And decided to offer a drive-through case sale.
And so on that first weekend of the shutdown, this driveway was packed with cars wrapping all the way around down to Whiteland Road with people supporting this local business.
It blew us away. It was kind of the hope that we needed to get through what would end up being the next several months of being closed.
The ability to get creative, overcome barriers, and get products to consumers. That's the message Indiana Grown worked to get to its members during this global pandemic.
So Indiana Grown is a program of the Indiana State Department of Agriculture, and our whole goal is to market and promote and elevate all forms of local ag. So that is hog farmers, traditional row crops, value-added products like barbecue sauce, and even wine, because wine is agriculture as well.
Indiana Grown has helped members track these new consumer habits like online sales and social media advertising. And businesses like Mallow Run used what they had, a loyal customer base to push through the mandated shutdown.
A lot of our members have new business that they never would have had before, and hopefully we'll retain that business in the future.
A late frost delivered that 1-2 punch in this pandemic to growers like Mallow Run. But just as Mother Nature heals herself, the winery hopes to rebound for future events.
As long as conditions are okay, the vineyard will come alive again in seasons to come. We just have to be patient. We're on nature's time, not our time.
Well, nature today delivered another record high temperature. 76 was the record until this afternoon, 3:29. We hit 78 for the high. Second day in a row, temperatures have made it to record warmth around central Indiana now. You can see all temperatures within a couple degrees of the lower 70s. I spy much colder air to the northwest. I'm sure you do too. It's 27 in the Dakotas, 67 for the moment in central Iowa, but look what happens just on the other side of the state. Temperatures fall into the 30s. For us, we'll manage another 24 hours of very mild temperatures. Tomorrow night, thunderstorms possible along the cold front that will deliver the colder air for the rest of the week, so we'll have to get prepared for that. You'll change the way you dress more than likely by Wednesday. As you can see, a good 20-degree temperature change, and that comes with a strong, cold northwest wind. There's your rising rain chance tomorrow. More likely we'll see the rain tomorrow night into the early overnight hours. During the day, we'll still manage 75 degrees. That's despite the cloud cover taking over. Temperatures to the north and west of Indy a little bit warmer, but again, it'll be the timing of the thicker cloud cover. 7 o'clock. Showers and thunderstorms to the west. There we are at 9 and 11. Notice how thin that line is. We could have an isolated severe storm along the boundary, which will be the wind shift. So damaging wind would be the main threat. It will definitely open the door to the colder temperatures. You can always get our Storm Shield app. It's for any time of the year. It is free for your smartphone. It's a weather radio for your phone. 7-day forecast. Temperatures consistently in the 50s after tomorrow. Wednesday through Friday dry. Rain chances will increase with a little more likely that we'll see rain on Sunday as warmer air returns temporarily. We'll be at 62, then back to some sunshine and 55 on Monday. We hate to see it go, but we knew it couldn't last forever. Cooler air on the way.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. One big win, one tough loss. The weekend was a matter of polar opposites for the IU football team and the Colts. Brad Brown has a look back and a look ahead.
One good half just was not enough for the Colts against the Ravens. They went into halftime with a 10-7 lead. The Indy defense shutting out Lamar Jackson for the first 30 minutes.
I mean, as a whole, we need, we all need to step up, and, just bowl up with our jobs and, do your job, make sure you're doing it at a high rate. And, eventually somebody will make a play and, we just couldn't come up with it.
But after the break, the Colts offense basically disappeared. Just a single-yard gain in the third quarter. By the time Baltimore went up 11 in the fourth quarter, it seemed like a steep hill to climb.
We've all seen or been a part of, games like this where one team dominates half of football, but it's not reflected in the scoreboard. And then you give the other team life, and they're a good football team, and they come back and beat you. And we felt like that's what happened yesterday.
Now the short turnaround for maybe their most important game so far. The Titans lead the division by a game. A Colts win in Tennessee will be crucial for any hopes of winning the AFC South.
I think we are good enough. We'll find out, but we'll find out. I mean, the proof will be in what happens Thursday, then the following Sunday, and the following Sunday. I mean, on for the next 9 weeks. But it's been good enough this year so far, 5 games. So, 5 of 8. It's been good enough.
One quick note on the next Colts home game. The matchup on November 22nd against the Packers has been moved back to a late 4:25 kickoff. 12,500 fans remains the capacity at Lucas Oil Stadium. Tickets are still available. The IU football team continues its historic climb. The Hoosiers ranked number 10 in this week's AP Top 25, the first time ever that Indiana has reached the top 10. They improved to 3-0 with a solid win over Michigan on Saturday. Everyone seems to be wondering when IU will have a letdown game. So far, not yet.
The season is obviously not over. We still have games that we're still looking forward to. We got Michigan State this week. It's a great program. So you got to come in with the right mindset and just continue to keep a 1-0 mindset and just look forward and make sure that we prepare every day the same as we did before.
Next up, the Hoosiers go to East Lansing. Saturday's game against Michigan State will be here on WRTV starting at noon. They may not look ahead, but we can. Indiana goes to Ohio State after this one. Could the Hoosiers be 4-0 when they go to Columbus? We shall see. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.